Hey there everyone, welcome to our August-September haul video. We didn't do one in August because things were just very busy, so we are combining it all into one great big haul. We did do one right after Gen Con, so the games you see today are not ones that we got at the convention. There were, however, a bunch of games that we got in afterwards because we didn't want to drive with them back from Indiana. Let's get started with Traveler Catan. Speaking of driving, now we can take Catan with us everywhere we go. And then we have SOS Titanic. This is a game, obviously, about the sinking of the Titanic. The ship goes down at the end. This one I got because I've heard that it's best as a solo game, and I'm trying to play more solo games just to see how they are. And then we have Code of Nine. So in this game, you are an automaton waking up after 100 years of sleep, essentially, to find that humanity, the people who created you, are no longer there. You have to follow some guidelines and try to achieve your particular objective in each game. Next up, we have WWE Superstar Showdown. This is a wrestling game, obviously, and I've heard very good things about it, though I have to admit I've never been into professional wrestling, so I'm curious to see how it plays for me, someone who really isn't into the theme behind it. And then Roll for the Galaxy, which is like Race for the Galaxy, but with dice instead of cards. I'm pumped, because Race for the Galaxy is one of my favorite games. In this, you are basically just a race expanding your empire throughout the galaxy. Next up, we have these Princess Bride games. So they are put out kind of in a set of 3, but each one plays a little bit differently. You have Miracle Pill, in which you are combining ingredients and potions to make a miracle pill. You have As You Wish, in which you are trying to use cards to retell the story of the Princess Bride as you would like it to be. And finally, you have a Battle of Wits, which is based on that poison cup scene where no one knows which glass the poison's in. And we have Star Trek 5-Year Mission. So this is a dice game based, of course, in the Star Trek universe. You play one member of one of the Star Trek crews. You are trying to succeed at the mission that has been put before you that game. Hopefully, with as much success but less fatality than any of the actual episodes. And we have Queen's Architect. So in this game, you play a potential architect for the Queen. You have to go around the countryside, helping her out, in hopes of winning her favor. If you do so, everything will be good for you and your career will continue. And then we have Mistfall, which I'm sure you will agree looks beautiful. It is a cooperative card-driven storytelling game. I'm really excited to get this one to the table because that's totally up my alley. And then we have Saboteur and Saboteur 2. So in these games, you are dwarves. Half of you, roughly, are good dwarves. You're doing everything you should be, and you are digging through the ground to get to your stash of gold. And half of you are bad dwarves. And you are doing everything you shouldn't be, and you are trying to sabotage the good dwarves in their efforts to get to the gold by, blowing up their tunnels and doing stuff like that. It's a hidden role game, but it's a lot of fun even for me who doesn't generally like hidden role games because I'm really bad at lying. And then we have Ryu, or I think that's how you say it. And this wins the award for most melodramatic storyline of a board game in our haul video. Several centuries ago, a celestial leviathan cried on Titan, our planet. Its tears flooded our cities and our land. The people of the dragons did their utmost to save as many of us as they could. You can play as a shark, though. That's pretty cool. It is a kind of esoteric cube drafting game. The box description is very dramatic, but essentially, dragons, things happened, you got moved to some, mountain in the celestial body, something, 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 you have to rebuild your something, something, something. Ryu. And then we have Istanbul, which is a resource management and acquisition game in which you are trying to collect all of the gems. This is also, as you can see from that pretty little decal, the 2014 Kennerspiel winner. And then we have the Villains and Vigilantes card game. This gets its name from the superhero RPG, which you might be familiar with. And it plays out much the same way. You are a superhero and you have your own deck of cards that give you special abilities and you're trying to complete missions. And then we have Portal. So Portal is obviously based around the same thematic universe as the Portal video games. It is not a direct translation of the video games though, so it doesn't play the same way. It plays more like a game that you would find in character while playing the Portal video games as part of one of your tests. You have to move through this modular board trying to make it so your little pieces of cake don't get incinerated, while trying to make it so everyone else's pieces of cake do get incinerated. It's pretty vicious, but I think we would all expect that from a Portal game. And then we have Among the Stars, in which each player is trying to build a space station in this galactic federation, and the player who is able to build the best, most wonderful, most efficient space station is the winner. I'm looking forward to this because I build very efficient space stations in my spare time. And then Cash and Guns, which everyone else on the planet already has. This game is really good at conventions. It is a game where you're robbers all trying to divide loot up between you, and you get these cool little fake styrofoam guns that everyone is very enamored by in the gaming world. And then another game that we've been hoping to get for a while and finally did, Kanban. So this is a game, it is the sister game to Panamax, and in it you are working in a factory trying to impress your boss, Sandra. She can either be very nice or very mean, depending on how you want to play the game, but regardless, it is purely a Euro game through and through. You are moving cubes to move cubes, to make cubes, do other cube things in a big cube factory. But it seems like a lot of fun. Another game that we've been waiting a really long time to get our hands on is High Heavens. So this one, we actually got it a little bit earlier than a lot of people. Sorry about that. But we've been waiting a long, long time. We saw this one a couple of years ago, and it's been in production ever since. It is a tactical game where two sets of gods face off against each other. And then we got ourselves a copy of Core Worlds. So in this game, you are playing a barbarian leader, and you are trying to build up your empire so that you can eventually take over the Core Worlds, which are like in the center of the game. And then, in contrast to all of these super heavy games that I've just been holding up, Adorable Pandering. And who cares what it's about? It's about adorable panders, alright? Next up, we have Biblios, which comes in this really beautiful box that's kind of like a book, which is fitting, because in this game you are head of a monastery and you are competing against all the other monasteries in your region to have the most wonderful, beautiful library. I love this game. And then we have They Come Unseen. So this is a submarine battle game. It is a tactical two-player asymmetrical game. And what's cool is that it was designed by a retired Royal Navy officer and submarine captain. Hopefully it is at least a little realistic. We also have a copy of Impulse. So this is another small box 4X game. So it's all about building your space empire to be as big as it possibly can be, considering the box is that big. And then we got our hands on a copy of Good Cop, Bad Cop and its expansion, Bombers and Traitors. So this is a hidden role deduction sort of game in which a group of good cops are trying to discover the crooked cops in their midst. The Bombers and Traitors adds Bombers and Traitors, which I'm honestly surprised hasn't been more of a controversy in the board gaming world, because thematically, especially given like current events, that might not be the best thing to bring to a lighthearted game night. On a happier note, Six Nimit, which is super popular, and I have not had a chance to play it yet, but I'm excited to try, because this is an abstract card scoring game, which I'll admit is generally not my thing at all, because there's no story involved, so I can't like really get into it, but so many people have said so many good things about this game that I need to try it. Next up, and almost done, I promise, we have Rise to Power. So in this game, you are a CEO of a power company, and a new awesome power source named Prism has been discovered. Your goal is to build up your company and establish a monopoly over that power source so that you can ultimately have the best city. And last, but definitely not least, nor lightest, is Zia. This is a sandbox-style space game in which you play a ship captain, trying to become the most famous captain in all of the galaxy. How you do that, though, is really up to you. You can be a trader, you could be a pirate, you could be a miner, you could really do pretty much whatever you want, which is an interesting thing to see come into the board gaming world, because that is very common in video games right now. Whew! Okay, that was a lot of games, I know. That was our combined August and September haul, and hopefully for the sake of our shelving, the next few months aren't quite as prolific. But regardless, thank you for sticking with us to the end. We will try to get those games to our table relatively quickly, but no promises, except for Portal, which we've totally already played. If you like what we're doing here, we will be putting out more videos in the coming weeks, so be sure to hit subscribe and like us. We'll see you soon. You and your fellow crewmates must cooperate to resolve dangerous situations that threaten to destroy your ship. Probably because your captain and senior crew are incompetent. I want to do a video on that. Pull all of our games that just have men holding plans and or maps and or swords in the front of castles. We have adorable pandering. Pandering. I'm from Boston. Those words are the same to me. Istanbul. It's another game with a dude holding a thing in front of a building. Seriously. There aren't very many games of women holding things in front of buildings, I would just like to say. Each crewmate has a unique ability, except for Deanna Troy. Woo!